welcome back to Scottish Rugby's coverage of the Women's Premiership. We are really excited that this year we're celebrating 30 years of women's rugby in Scotland. We've had so many iconic moments from over the years from our players and our fans. So what better way to start this year's preview show for the 2023-24 season than with last year's winners, Stirling County. They start this year's campaign on the road against Heriot's Blues at Golden Acre. We caught up with Ciara McDonald from Stirling County and Giselle Chicot from Heriot's Blues to preview the game. Ciara, so let's just firstly take a trip down memory lane to Saturday the 28th of January to your first ever Premiership win. You were involved in that starting lineup. Can you tell me a little bit about how that day was and what it was like to take the title?
Yeah, so to begin with, it was really nerve-wracking, because it was posted everywhere. And even just to get to the cup, it just felt like a massive relief. That's everything our team's been working towards. Everyone shows up to training, we work hard, and just to win, it just shows if you work hard, it clearly pays off. So it was exciting.
Now you have been part of Stirling County for quite some time. You've come up through that youth and now into your senior debut, and you're coming through with a lot of other young players. So how are you finding taking that step into not only senior rugby, but then Premiership rugby?
Yeah, it's definitely a step up. Coming up from under 18s, it's a massive jump, but then you don't know until you get into the game, then you start to feel yeah, this is it, accept the challenge, this is the challenge. But the younger ones coming up, it definitely pushes on, a lot of more experienced players as well, just with training and things, and even places on the team, just having that competition, it's really good.
And you've touched on that, you've got a lot of experienced players, so likes of Rachel Shankland, you've got Megan Kennedy, and people like yourselves, Lucy McRae, are coming through. How does having that blended approach of the kind of older experienced players with the younger players coming through, how does that help your team? It
helps our team because it's the older lot, more experienced, allows us, the younger ones, to try and get out of our comfort zones. They push us on in everything that we do, and they're very supportive. And same with the younger ones, it doesn't matter how old you are, we're all a team. It's about working together as a team. It just pushes each other on and gets us where we are today.
So Giselle, we're going to start off with last season and reflecting on your performances. Last season was the first time that Heriot's Blues had made it to the playoffs, and you'd had a really good run in the league. So can you tell me what kind of reflections are you taking and experiences are you taking to put into this season?
First of all, yeah, we were really happy with making it to the playoffs. I think we've only been around 3 seasons for the women's at Heriot, so I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves because we do have a lot of experience in our players and people expecting big things, but realistically, if you look at the stats, I don't think another women's team had made it into the Prem playoffs after less than 4 years or 5 years being the Prem, so really happy with that. And the girls put in a great shift against Stirling in that last game for the semis. It just really proved to us what we can do, and we're hoping to bring that into the next season. So yeah, very happy.
You touched there on having some really experienced heads in the team. So for example, you've got your co-captain Annabelle Sargent, you've got people like Megan Gaffney, but you've also got some really young talent coming through. So can you tell me a little bit about how that blended approach of some of those experienced level-headed players mixing in with kind of the young blood that's coming through, how that helps you guys in the run-up to this season?
It's actually a great blend because you have, as you said, people like Megan Gaffney, Annabelle, people who've played for Barbars, gone to World Cups, Lisa Martin, who's now joined us as well. They've got so much experience, and it's nearly an add-on to the coaches. You can have a bit of a chat with them. They're all really welcoming and helpful as well. So they bring so much, and these youngsters that come through, the likes of Millie Capaldi, Morven Thompson, who we've not seen too much yet because she's been a bit injured, so I'm really hoping we'll see a lot of her. They can learn off them, and it's just a mix of energy, and they're pushing those older ones to play better, but those older ones are also bringing that experience that is a little bit more that level-headed to the younger ones, so it's actually a really good blend, and hopefully it'll bring us a couple wins this season.
And obviously you are co-captain alongside Annabelle, so what are you hoping to bring into that leadership role?
Really excited. I think there was a little bit of leadership last season, just in the background. I'd sort of try and help the captains and do what I can. And Annabelle and I'd say, are quite good friends, and we work quite well. We were a lot playing together as a 10-12 duo last season, and I think we're we understand each other quite well. So I think that's where the co-captaincy came from. So I'm very excited just to learn off her as well, because obviously she's got so much experience, but also taking on a bit of responsibility is quite exciting, and leading the girls, it's big privilege and an honour, so I'm really excited.
So looking to that first game of the season, you guys are away, you're going to take on Heriot Blues. So what are you guys hoping to put out there in terms of your own performance?
I think we're, just going out, play the way we've normally been playing, really strong, fast, technical, and then just, get the win.
Yeah, we really enjoy playing at Goldie. It's always nice to be at home, have the castle view. But we're also really excited to take on the champions. I mean, why not start strong if you're going to start the season, start against the best, test yourselves out. So quite excited to see where we are, because we've been working hard through pre-season. So we really want to test ourselves and see where we stand compared to the others in the league. So why not do that against the best, really? And obviously at home, it's just even better.
It was a bittersweet season last year for Corstorphine Cougars, last year's runners-up. They're looking to go one step further this year, but can they do it, and can they get off on the right foot this year as they travel north to take on Garioch? We caught up with Captain Emma Turner from Cougars and Captain Sammy Ross from Garioch. So Sammy, last season was your inaugural season in the Premiership. Can you tell me a little bit about what the team has learned from that experience?
Yeah, so like I said, it was our first season in, so it was a big step up for us, a lot of learning curves, finding our feet kind of really. But I think the girls have really taken it in their stride. So the difference in coming up against some of these teams, there was a lot of fear going into it, because we're coming up against girls that we were seeing on the Scottish international fixtures. We're looking up to these girls and now we're looking at them on the pitch. So there's a lot of fear on that, but I think we've really taken a bit of confidence from it. And the fact that I think we fulfilled all of our fixtures. Maybe one didn't go ahead, so the fact we'd done it, we played the 80 minutes, we got on with it, so looking forward to the next one.
And whilst you've said, there are a lot of talented players in the Premiership who are part of Scottish Futures, being part of the Thistles, you've also got a couple of players yourself, so you've got Nikki and you've got Lindsay as well, and there are a couple of other really exciting young players. So how beneficial is it for you guys to be able to lean on both kind of some of that experience from the high performance setup as well as that talent coming through?
Oh yeah, it's like a really big boost to us. So if we get a fixture coming up and we don't have Lindsay, Nikki and Megan on it, we're instantly like, oh no. But as soon as they're on our fixtures, it builds us up, and like I say, we get the experience from them as well. So we've got Megan Highland as well, they're over in Italy at the moment. So they bring a lot of experience, they're level-headed. We're just letting them get on with their sort of game now and trying our best to support them either side.
And in terms of support, you are now the captain for the season. You took up captaincy through the Sarah Beanie Cup campaign, and it's now leading into this season's Premiership. So what are you looking forward to about leading your team this season?
Oh, it's really fun to lead them all and be captain. As much as it's hard to get them in line, sometimes they do actually listen. Just being able to support each individual girl as well. Like, I'm so proud of every single one of them. They've all got their own individual talents, and it's just been able to showcase that talents for them. We've got a bit of a mantra going on where we're like, for the ones before us, for the ones who couldn't make it today, and the ones that'll come after us. So we're really trying to push it for everyone around.
Let's start with last season. Obviously, a really fantastic season for Cougars. You reached the final of the Premiership, the final for the Sarah Beanie Cup. Whilst obviously you didn't claim those title wins, can you just tell me how great that season was for you guys?
Yeah, it was really, really good. Obviously, we didn't even expect to be there. We'd finished third the 2 seasons before, so to get to one final, let alone 2, was just amazing. And even though we didn't win it, it kind of just made us want it even more, because second place isn't so bad.
And how much confidence does knowing that you guys are capable of those performances, how much confidence does that give you for this season?
Oh, so much confidence. Like, we're just going to work even harder to get there. Obviously, getting to the final, playing Stirling on the day, Stirling were the better team, hands up, they deserved it. But then they came to us in the semi-final of the cup, and we put on a display. And then to go into the cup and lose by 1 point, like, it's so close, but obviously yet so far.
Obviously you're captaining for another season, so again, how pleased are you to take on that leadership role?
I love being captain of the girls. I couldn't think of a better group of girls to be captain for. They prove to me time and time again that they're here and they want to show up and they want to do their best, so I just can't wait to get started and get going.
And you've also got a second 15 who are playing in the East Midlands Division 1 this season. So how good is that to have an additional squad that you can train alongside and also see players develop through that and potentially push into the first 15?
Yeah, it makes so much difference, like having those numbers at training, so we get to run like 15 on 15, and then the ability for them to actually go and get game time at the weekend and, as you say, like develop and come into the first 15s. Like some of the girls will put their head down, work really hard and start at the twos but then come up to ones, but also girls that, you know, like just need the game time or coming back from injury and stuff like that. Like, it's amazing that we just got the opportunity to play with a second 15.
And looking at pre-season and building up to your opening game against Garioch, how's pre-season been looking for you guys?
Pre-season's been really good. We started pre-season in June, so we've just been chipping away, and there's quite a lot that we're going to change for the season ahead, so it's been really important for us to get down, get learning, but it's also nice that it's not so condensed that it's totally mad. Like, we've just been chipping away, working at it, and yeah, it's been really fun.
So your opening game of the season is at home against Cougars. That'll be a tough one given how well they played last season. But how much confidence do you have in the work that you've done over pre-season, and also being at home must give you some advantage as well?
Yeah, we call it Fortress Kellens, so it's great to be there and the support that we get down for it. Cougars is definitely probably one of our hardest matches of the season, so tough to get it out of the way, but we're getting it out of the way first, obviously, which means we're able to put a lot of preparation into that game. Like I say, I think we've learned a lot from last season, so this season it's just about trying to put that into the game.
So the last time we went, it was so much fun, like just to go up, and they're a real rugby community, so to go up, that was our first time there. So we had a lot of fun, and I think it's a really, really good opening game. They'll obviously be gearing for it and stuff, so it'll be a good battle to see if we can bring what we've been training into a game.
So in 30 years of Women's Premiership rugby in Scotland, one of the standout fixtures is always Watsonians versus Hillhead Jordan Hill. These two sides have seen it all, battling it out in countless finals to take that title. This year they go head to head in the opening fixture on Saturday the 19th of August. We caught up with Vice-Captain Ailey Tucker from Watsonians and Captain Hannah Telling from Hillhead Jordan Hill as they preview the opening game. So Ailey, looking back at last year's Premiership, a little bit of a mixed season for you guys, some really incredible wins and some really tough losses. What are your reflections from those performances?
I think we came into that season very young team. We didn't have many players, we didn't have a lot of time for recruitment last season. So we thought if we just go out there and we just give it everything we had and see what happens, and we actually did a lot better than what we anticipated, so we were very, very pleased with that. And then just it kept progressing and progressing, and it started to be such a fun game of rugby we were playing, and it was just perfect.
And you talked about that progress, and that is exactly what you did, because you ended on the ultimate high of running out at Murrayfield Stadium to lift the Sarah Beanie Cup. So can you tell me a little bit about that cup run?
We went into that cup run quite confidently. We just thought, right, we're just going to go out there, give it everything. And when we got to the semi-final and won, and we knew we were going to Murrayfield, we were like, right, this is it now. We got to fine-tune everything, and we were just lucky enough on the day to get the win.
And that was your first season working with your new head coach, Bruce Miller, and you're working with him again this season. So what has he brought to the team in that role? He's
brought just a lot more fun. It's been a really good training environment. The girls are coming to training happy when they arrive, happy when they leave, and it's great. And he's brought a different style of play, which we're really enjoying, and it seems to be working so far. So we're quite happy, and we really, really love him. So
Hannah, a season of highs and lows for you guys. What are your biggest learnings from that to take into this season coming?
I think last season was a season of change. So we had a new coaching set up, we brought in new structures, new ways of playing, and I think we also looked at it as a season where we were regathering, kind of seeing what was happening, and also dealing with a lot of adversity. We had countless injuries throughout the season, so it was kind of having to constantly adapt to that. I think at one point we didn't have the same backline for repeated games throughout the entire season. But it was learning lessons from that, kind of how we build on that, and going into this season, like really looking at building a team culture that isn't just about kind of getting results for one season or 2 seasons, but actually longer term. So I think that's what we've learned from last season. It was a rebuild and kind of looking towards the future and what we're going to do with this club.
Obviously, you are captaining this year, moving up from vice-captain and taking over from Debbie Lee. So how exciting is that as an opportunity for you? And what are you looking forward to about kind of taking on that leadership role?
It's really exciting. I'm hoping they didn't just vote me in because I'm one of the older members of the team now, but you never know. No, it's great. It's really nice to take on that responsibility, and I do think it is a responsibility, and it's kind of thinking about the ways in which I'd like this team to go forward, and I think I'm really focused on having a really great culture, that everyone really enjoys playing rugby at Hills, that we're a really welcoming club, that we're a developing club. And I think actually, being captain, but also having a really great leadership team, because there's, you might have a captain on the team sheet and a vice captain on the team sheet, but there are many, many players who put in loads of time and effort. We've got a really great leadership team, which Debbie Lee's still on, which actually brings all of these performances together. So, it's not just one person leading the ship, it's many. And I think that's what's so great, because it makes my job really easy. It means I get to just come out on the day and hopefully come up with some better motivational team speeches than I did last season, which were a bit dodgy.
So your opening match of the Premiership for 23-24 is at home against Hillhead Jordan Hill. So what are you A, expecting from them, and B, what are you hoping to put out there?
Well, every time we've played Hills, it's always been a very competitive match. I mean, I don't remember a game against Hills that was not competitive. So it's always a good, really strong match, and we have to put out our best. And with it being in the first game of the season, it's going to be a real challenge, breaking in new players and stuff. It'll give them a really good taste of what a really good Premiership game should be. Yeah, we're just desperate to get out there and get going again. So
I think we're focusing a lot on ourselves and what we want from the game. It's not necessarily kind of like looking at individual fixtures and thinking about that. It's kind of how we want to prepare as ourselves. But I also think Hills versus Watsons, it doesn't matter what game it is, what's on the line, whether it's a cup final, whether it's just a game in the league. Both teams always bring it. It's always a really exciting game to play in. It's always really physical, as 3 days later when you still got the bruises from it. But I just think both teams just elevate. I think you see some of the best sort of rugby on display, which is really fantastic. I think there was a game last season which went down to the wire, and just some of the rugby on display was just fantastic. I think Watsons are a great team. I really enjoy playing against them. And I think it's one of those games where we bring out some of our best. And I'm, just excited to show what we've been working on in the off-season, what we were building on from last season, and just, not to give anything away, but just some of the things that we've been working on, which I'm really excited to showcase.
So it's time for the fourth and final fixture in our opening weekend of the Women's Premiership, and it's Cartha Queen's Park versus Stewarty. Now, Stewarty are making their return to the Premiership the first time since 2018, after they enjoyed an unbeaten run in National 1 last season. We caught up with captains Sammy Joe from Cartha Queen's Park and Claire Dooley from Stewarty as they preview this exciting fixture. So, Sammy, let's start with last season, reflecting on your season. Cartha had some really big performances, but also some pretty tough losses. So what are your reflections looking back on that season?
So as Jess previously stated in the last interview, it was a builder season for us then. Last season we were really getting together, we were getting our moves sorted, really gelling as one as a team. And, we have some highs and lows, that's rugby in general, and we just worked with it. We took on every competition that we could, worked on what we had to work on, took those wins as achievements, really made ourselves proud for what we did in the pitch and just moved on and focused, really. And
how has your pre-season been shaping up so far? I know that you guys are working with Stephen again this season, so how's that been going for you so far?
It's been really good. So we've got a new coaching system as well. So Stephen's back with us as our head coach. We have Ali as a forwards coach, Mark as our backs coach, and we have Cammy, who filters in, helps with the seconds, also comes in and starts with reffing and stuff, because he's got his reffing qualifications. So that's good on our hand to get that idea of what it'll be like in a game. And yeah, it's been really good so far. Pre-season we've done an extra few weeks just to be really prepared for the Prem. And yeah, again, it's just helping the team gel together and work based on our new calls and our new structure, and just really getting everything ready for the Prem.
and this year you are stepping into the captaincy role. You have been part of Cartha from the youth system, so how proud are you to be leading the senior team now in the Premiership?
It's honestly, I'm still kind of speechless at it, to be honest, coming from under 15s, being like 14 years old to coming up for 23 now and being able to see my name on that board is honestly such a big achievement for me. It's something I've always wanted, and the support I'm going to have from previous captains and my captains this year with me, it's just going to be so great.
So, Claire, firstly, many congratulations on Stewarty's return to the Premiership. You guys were last involved in the Premiership in 2018 and you have pushed your way through from Nat 1 into the Prem again this year. How excited are you for this new opportunity as part of the Premiership with 8 teams?
I'm very excited and I think the rest of the team feel the same. We had a particularly good season last season. We were undefeated throughout the season, so I think we're needing that extra challenge. We obviously realise going into Premiership it is going to be completely different, but we're looking forward to it. And when we did some of the Sarah Beanie Cup games, it gave us a wee glimpse of what it would be like, and it's actually a really good thing to be challenged and to get a chance to play against some really experienced and talented teams.
Absolutely, and you touched on that unbeaten run last year in National 1, that was 10 from 10. So how much confidence does that give you coming in, knowing that you can pull out really consistent performances?
I think it does make us feel confident in some ways, but we obviously realise Premiership is very different. So it means that we've got that base confidence, but equally we're going in expecting to be challenged. It's not going to be the same. We're going to need to pull together. We're going to need to keep heads up when results are not going that way for us. In some ways, it kind of makes you feel a little bit more relaxed, because last season when the games started going, that we had that continuous unbeaten, there was a lot of pressure to try and stay that way. Whereas going into this next season, it's literally about playing good rugby and being able to try our hardest, and we haven't got that pressure of needing to win every game.
So looking ahead to the Premiership this season, your opening game is against Stewarty. Now, they are coming into the Premiership from last year's National 1. So what are you expecting? You're kind of going into slightly the unknown, but what are you also hoping to put out there?
So we've seen Stewarty play in their sevens. We have an idea of what some of their players are like. We know they're a lovely team. We used to play them a few years back. My second game ever for seniors was against Stewarty. So they were a tough team then, and we know they're still a tough team now. So we're just ready to hit the ground running, just see what they've got for us, and just, you know, just expect the unexpected as well. Just prepare for whatever hits us.
I think, to be honest, personally, I'm not going in with any expectations. We have played Cartha before, but we've always had a really good relationship with them. There was once upon a time we were dual registered and playing in each other's teams. So it's actually a good game for us to start off with. So no real expectations other than going in, trying our hardest, working together, and just putting in 100% and encouraging everybody to do the same.
So there we have it. 30th anniversary of the Women's Premiership is sure shaping up to be a really exciting one. Make sure you stay tuned to Scottish Rugby's social channels and YouTube for all of the best of the action. See you there.